Good evening. Welcome to the first meeting of the new year, Monday, January the 11th. I'd like to call it to order, and before we do the roll, if you could stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald?
Here.
Councilmember Ashford?
Present.
Councilmember Lamb?
Here.
Councilmember Moserak?
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Here.
Mayor Rep.
Here. You have the minutes from the regular meeting of December the 14th. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there any changes to the minutes? All those in favor?
Oh, I was, yeah, on the.
Did you have a
minutes
change?
On the, paying the bills, it was one that had DTE on it, and I just wanted to divide it and vote on the bills, but not vote on that one item.
Tonight?
Huh?
You mean on the, later in the agenda?
Yeah, later,
Okay, well,
yeah.
this is the minutes
Oh,
from
it's
the
not,
last
no,
one.
not now, it was in the last one, these were
Oh.
the minutes, these were the
Wait,
minutes.
okay.
Yeah.
But if you did vote on it last time, you can't change it now, not for your vote. I'm pretty sure that that's,
Well, I
She
thought-
concur with
abstained
me?
the last time.
Hmm?
She abstained in the.
did she
in the
abstain? I
minutes,
just didn't
yeah.
say it
Yeah,
on
but
there.
it didn't say that.
Cindy,
Yeah, I
For
just,
the bills?
yeah, I didn't see it on here, I mean,
she's checking it.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
tonight.
I'd have to check my notes.
okay, you can do it after,
Yeah.
and I'll
Okay,
call you.
yeah.
and check.
Okay.
Okay,
Then
I just
here's-
wanted to make sure I didn't overlook.
Okay,
I believe the abstention was for the DTE contract
I
that we
thought
had
it
the
was
last
too.
meeting, not the bill.
Yes.
Yeah, it was for the contract, yep.
I agree with you, I thought it was too.
Oh, okay.
When we had that agreement with DTE, that's when you abstained, not during the
Yeah, but,
bills.
oh, you know what happened? I just questioned it. Then when I
Yep.
asked him to change that, oh, okay. All right, it'll be
Stay-
okay.
Stay as it is, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, you got that, Cindy?
Yep.
Okay.
thank you.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes stand as submitted. We have one public hearing tonight, if the clerk would please read it.
To hear comments on the proposed amendment to the 2019 Annual Action Plan for the use of CDBG-CV emergency funds.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council on public hearing number 1? If so, please come forward and give us your name, and you have 4 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Ken Harris, Wells Street, Port Huron. Welcome to be here again. 2021, another year of challenges.
Yep.
Some of them not set by us, and not made by us. But I guess my comment here is on the CDBG funds. You know, I took and looked back at the review and stuff, and you know, we talk about the CDBG part and stuff and I looked over the ones that the Economic Development Alliance did, and I have to give them my support. They did quite a nice job of spreading the money around and handing the money to minorities and women and things like that in their allocations. But I guess where we kind of come short on the round of the CV1 grants was we still have no expenditures or any plans for a testing site. We set aside $50,000 for testing and stuff, and it could, because it's all COVID related and things like that. And to this date, there's been no expenditure for that and no test sites. And things are kind of getting in the world now. We're getting the vaccine that's available for us. So I think now we have to coordinate a testing site with the site to get the vaccine available to some of our residents in the city of Port Huron. Then when we go down to I guess the other part that confuses me in the CDBG grants and on the CV3 is when we look at these things here, and the one for the Economic Development Alliance, their total grant is $138,000. But $50,000 of that goes to micro-business enterprise, which I fully support. But that places $88,000 for administration, and that far exceeds the parameters of the housing and urban development. You know, at $138,000 and $50,000 is for grants. That leaves us the balance of $88,000. Where's that going to go? It can't be used for for administrative fee, because the administrative fee is set by the housing and urban development rate at approximately 20%. So, and the last line here, I guess the part is that we're talking about helping people with food, and again, we're going to help the soup kitchen. And I'm not an enemy of the soup kitchen or anything like that, but one of the organizations, the food bank at 10th and Baird Street, has been highly affected by the drop in donations. You know, the annual letter carrier food drive brought them 40,000 pounds of food and stuff. Last year, it brought them nothing. And I know they've appealed to other agencies like our Labor Council and stuff, and we've kind of helped them along. But I was thinking when we're putting money to put food on people's tables or provide meals, I think the soup kitchen would be a very, very strong benefactor, and I hope that's included in your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to add something, James?
Yeah, I just think it's too important not to let go. So the city of Port Huron is expending money for COVID testing facilities. In fact, to date, we've reimbursed Lake Huron Medical Center more than $23,000 to help them construct the outdoor facilities and drive-through facilities. So we can't pay for the test kits because they're paid for by Medicare, Medicaid, and insurances, and they can't double dip. What we did is we are funding the construction of the actual infrastructure for the testing site. So the heaters, the propane tanks, the tents, everything they're using to create these outdoor drive-through sites, we have paid that for $23,000. Now remember, this is a reimbursement, so they have to expel those funds and then get their reimbursement. So Lake Huron Medical has already sought more than $23,000 of reimbursement from us, and they've received that funding. Next up will be Port Huron Hospital, McLaren Health, and then also we're working on with some of the clinics as well, like MedExpress, who are doing testing. We've reached out to them. So those projects are well underway, and money is going out the door, so the idea that we are not doing anything is just completely and categorically false and inaccurate.
So that came out at 50,000?
Correct,
Oh, okay.
correct.
Before you run away, just because something else was brought up about the $138,000 and $88,000 going to administration, I would doubt that.
That's going to small business relief. The $88,000 is all-inclusive, including a small bit, I think it's 5% for administration.
Okay, which
Now, was that the one that's led by the EDA? Is that-
Yes.
Correct, yep.
Okay.
We typically can take up to 20%, but it's not necessary. We don't take it just because it's out there. We want to get as much money into the small businesses as we can.
yeah.
Mayor Rep, and I know that.
Yes, Councilmember.
Yeah, I know that, you know, that we don't know all the moving parts in here, but I am glad to see that Councilmember Harris did bring this forth. You know, I saw the 50,000 line item, you know, when you had it, you know, drafted out and you gave it to us. But a lot of people don't know that what we're doing, so it's good that you that you shared that tonight.
Yeah, I believe it's been shared elsewhere, but these reports are the plan of where the funding's going to be. They're not actually a report on what's been done. So
Right.
it's just very important that we make sure accurate information gets out to the public.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, it can be accurate because nobody got ESP.
No one
so-
asked.
Oh, okay, so thank you, and I'm glad
Thank
to
you.
hear we're doing something. Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 1? Seeing no one, I'll declare public hearing number 1 closed. We'll move on to public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council this evening, come forward, give us your name and address, and you have 4 minutes. Seeing no one, I'll declare public comment closed, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. And the clerk can take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Items on the consent agenda: approved scheduling of a public hearing for February the 8th to hear comments concerning liquor licensees that are delinquent in payment of taxes, utility payments, and/or income tax reporting or payments. Approving the scheduling of a public hearing for January the 25th to receive comments on the general needs in community development, housing, and special services utilizing CDBG and home funds. And a second public hearing for February the 22nd to hear comments on the proposed 2021 annual action plan. Confirming the appointments of Trista Colts, Mary Seeley, and Gary Stolt to the 2021 Board of Review with compensation in the amount of $600 per year per member, and setting the Board of Review meeting dates, and approving the reappointment of Julia Price and Stephanie Kamalis to the Beautification Commission with terms to expire January the 30th, 2024. And we will move on to communications and petitions.
Receive and file Lisa Beeden's letter of resignation effective December 31st, 2020.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford. And for the public's benefit, now that we have accepted Lisa's resignation, and all council members have a copy of the press release, which will be sent out tomorrow to the media. So she obviously moved on to the Board of Commissioners. Per the city charter, following is the process and timetable for filling that vacancy due to the fact that the next vote getter did not get 25% of the vote, which would have, if had they have, would have made an automatic appointment. So now we have to go through the timetable that's outlined in our charter. So now we are going to, starting effective immediately through Tuesday, January 26th, which gives 2 weeks. That's at the end of the workday, 4:30 p.m. We will accept letters of interest with resumes from any qualified and registered city elector who wishes to be considered for the appointment. All those letters and resumes will be then submitted to the city clerk, and everything will then be distributed to the city council. We'll all get a copy of that so we can peruse it and see what we have as far as looking into it ourselves. Then on Monday, February the 1st, a special city council meeting will be held in room 408 to meet the candidates, and each applicant will be allowed 4 minutes for an introduction, and a vote to appoint a new member to fill the vacancy will occur at that meeting. And then they will be actually sworn in and attend their first meeting on February the 8th. So that is the timetable, and that will be sent out to the media tomorrow. Okay? And we did not take a vote on that, I don't believe, did we?
No.
Okay. Is there any questions on any of that before she takes the vote? Okay.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We'll move on to, from the city manager, item 1.
Accepting the quote from Milo Range in the amount of $33,370 for the purchase of a use of force and firearms training simulator.
Is there a motion?
Support.
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Mosherak. Mr. Freed.
Madam Mayor and Council, before you tonight, we have an innovative solution to some of the training challenges that are faced by agencies across the state. Chief Platzer is going to up here and give you a briefing on what this is and why it's beneficial, but it's also a unique partnership with our local community college to make sure that a facility like this can happen. So Chief, you can take it from here. And I believe he has a video to play as well that he's excited to show you as well.
Mayor Rep, City Council. I guess if Bruce has got the video fired up, we'll watch the video first.
See it on here?
Having the Milo system at Hawkeye for the police science program is absolutely phenomenal because it's hard to find. It's hard to get that practical training without getting into real life scenarios.
Basically, you start off somewhere, a situation happens, and you got to use your discretion to whether you use your firearm or not. Sometimes you can talk the person down, and they'll actually set the gun down, and you don't even have to fire during it. So it makes you try to, solve the situation best as possible.
It really gets your blood pumping because in your mind, you're thinking, this is preparing me for a situation that I may very well find myself in the future. So many things go through your mind that wouldn't happen in a video game or something else. It's very, very real life, and it definitely engages your brain, it engages your motor skills, it engages all the skills that you've built on the firing range out here in a firearms class in Hawkeye.
The camera even moves to like where you're looking, and you may look somewhere else and you hear something else, and so you turn back right away and you see there's the shooter right there. It makes it look so real. It's amazing.
The sky's the limit. I mean, you can always change them or do different scenarios and just keep us guessing. A lot of the times we've never seen any of them, and there's hours and hours of practice on there for us.
They've got hundreds of pre-recorded scenarios, and the weapons are laser-guided, non-live firing weapons. However, they simulate real weapons.
Through my time in the military, I've done some combat experience, so it's definitely as close as a scenario can get as far as training. It's the best training I've ever done.
All right, so back in late October, 1st of November, we were very fortunate that we were able to get one of these systems here at the City of Port Huron through the FAAC International, which is Milo. They're housed out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. For the next 3 weeks, I was able to run our officers through realistic type of training scenarios. This system has over 300 videos that have been made that allow us to not only use decision-making, it allows us to de-escalate if we have to, and it allows the officers to be able to make their decisions. Do they use their firearm? Do they have to use their OC spray? Do they use their taser? Are they able just to talk? And it's an interactive type of system. It's kind of weird standing up there because you're talking to a screen that doesn't talk back, but it allows us to see and judge how the officers react to the situation. If they do have to use their firearm, if they do have to use their taser, it's so sensitive that it marks where the rounds have been fired at. And then when we're done, we're able to sit there and talk with our officers and debrief them and ask them why they did what they did, would they change anything next time, and get all the information for the decision making. It allows us to do this in a controlled environment, and it does not take away from our live firing out at the gun range, but allows us to simulate situations on the street. With that, I was able to run not only the officers through it, but our cadets. I was able to run members of the Chiefs Community Resource Champions through it. I ran the city manager through it, Ed Brennan, and a couple other people through the city. I was hoping to get you all through it, but hopefully with the purchase of this, I'll be able to do that in the near future. And one of the persons that is on our Chiefs Community Resource Champions is Pete Lacey from the college. And as soon as Pete ran through this, we got talking the next day because, as you know, we're just getting ready to revamp the fifth floor weight room. We're running out of space upstairs. So Pete approached me and asked me if we want to go in with the college and be able to house this system over at the college. And with that, it's a win-win for us because I'm also a part-time adjunct instructor at the college. I can take the students that I have, I can run them through this simulator, and we can show them that if you want to work with PHPD, this is the type of training that you get it. So it's a huge partnership with us and the college. And it'll be kept over at the SC4. And the reason being is it needs a location where it can't be kicked, moved, because to calibrate it takes like 3 to 4 hours. And if you accidentally bump it, we're out of business for 3 to 4 hours. So with that, this company is housed in Ann Arbor, Michigan. They've been very generous with us. They've come up, they've given us demonstrations. With the order, it'll take about a month to get. And then we reached out to MMRMA, and we were able to get a $3,500 grant for that. So that brings it down to the total cost of $29,870. It lasts anywhere between 7 to 10 years. And then the nice thing about it is, like I say, they're only in Ann Arbor. If we need equipment, we can go there, or they can come up and help us troubleshoot it. So.
Sounds good. Anybody got any questions for the chief?
Mayor,
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
who all would have access to it if it's housed over at the college?
It's going to be in a location that only Port Huron police officers have access to, and we would be the ones that would be operating it. So I would have Sergeant Decker, who's in charge of our professional standards and training division. He'd be the lead instructor, and then I want to get my subject control officers trained on it, so I've got one on each shift. So it would be strictly run by our agency, and then when we have the college students go through there, we'd set up a time and a date. And the nice thing about this too is if we have a slow day, which is few and far between, but you get that slow day where I can get the officers over there, they can run through 5, 6 scenarios, be debriefed within 15, 20 minutes and back out on the road. And I'm looking at doing this quarterly throughout the year, because the more I can get the training for the officers and de-escalation, decision-making, it's a win-win for us and the citizens.
Great, thank you.
Somebody else had a question?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a question or not, but, Chief, I think I like this because it not only hones in on your skills as far as the shooting, but actually what the world has been so upset with, it gives the officer a choice, you know, another alternative in, you know, in what they're shooting at, that second part, and I think that's what's missing, so I think this is a win-win for us.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? So you'll have access anytime, even if the college is closed?
Yes, we're working on a keypad for there,
Okay.
for us, and like I say, we'll have 24/7 access. We just met with the college the other day, and we're hoping to have the room, everything up and running by the 1st of March, middle of March. And
Okay.
then at that time, I'd be more than happy to, we can.
Yeah, I'd be
get people
interested in doing
come
that.
over and have you go
Okay.
through a couple scenarios.
Sounds good.
Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember
Chief, you
Mosher.
mentioned 7 to 10 years longevity out of this. Is that controlled by the man-hours that are put onto it, or what gives that amount of time that it lasts for?
A lot of it has to deal with the computer, so the internal workings of the computer. I mean, if the program has been updated, if we are too rough on the firearms, does technology change? So when we were talking to them, and I sent the information to the city manager, the company said it's roughly about a 7 to 10 year window before we'd have to upgrade or possibly go to a new system.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Madam Mayor and Council, I wasn't originally going to go through the Milo system, but Chief came to me one afternoon and asked if I could give him some pointers. So I took him up there and ran him through it. What I like about it is it sincerely is the whole spectrum of use of force. So I went through it, and, you know, I watched the show Cops, and I work in a building that has a police department. I thought I knew what I was doing. I went through it. It was a very humbling experience to realize how fast these things happen, and to make that decision, is it a taser, is it a firearm, can you de-escalate it? It's remarkable, and so I'm pleased that members of the community are getting to go through it, because once you go through it, you have a whole new respect for just how fast these things. And the one I did was a suspicious person at a river walk in another river someplace else, but it was very applicable to the city of Port Huron. One of the other things as well is liability. I do believe that this is going to better training reduces liability costs and insurance costs in the future, and so that's why I told Plattsburgh, even though this isn't a budget item, I just think it's too important to have this technology and this opportunity, and so we will make room in the budget for it.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. We'll move on. If there's no objections, 2 and 3 are both the same company, and they're both for dump bodies and replacements. They're not vehicles, they're just for the dump part, and the only difference is the size of them, so if we want to take them both together, same company's getting the bids, so. No
2,
problem.
3, and 4, or just 2?
2 and 3.
Just 2 and 3?
4 is the same as
Oh, it's 4 the
four
same
is
too?
the same.
Okay, then we'll take 2, 3, and 4,
Yeah.
because then he can speak to all of them at once.
Accepting the bid from Truck and Trailer Specialties Incorporated in the amount of $10,547 for the purchase and installation of a Cry-Steel 9-foot E-tipper dump body replacement for vehicle number 72 for use by the Parks and Forestry Division in accordance with the State of Michigan My Deal Purchasing Program. Accepting the bid from Truck and Trailer Specialties Incorporated in the amount of $29,721 for the purchase and installation of a Cry-Steel 14-foot select dump body replacement for vehicle number 208 for use by the Utilities Division in accordance with the State of Michigan My Deal Purchasing Program, and accepting the bid from Truck and Trailer Specialties Incorporated in the amount of $29,897 for the purchase and installation of a Cry-Steel 14-foot select dump body replacement for vehicle number 242 for use by the Utilities Division in accordance with the State of Michigan My Deal Purchasing Program.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford and Mr. Freed.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is just thriftiness. We have vehicles that are in good condition, although old, a 2001 and 1999, because there's a lot of idle time, they don't drive 100,000 miles in a couple years, so the beds often rot out and the dumps often rot out before the vehicle goes bad. And so these dump beds, instead of buying a whole new vehicle, it behooves the taxpayer for us to just replace out the beds and keep the trucks running for another 10 to 15 years. So they did a cost-benefit analysis. They looked at the vehicles, looked at the maintenance logs, and said, you know what, these are good running vehicles. They're in good condition. There's no reason why we can't get another 10 years out of them. Let's just replace the dumps. So that's what we're doing to avoid the purchase of three brand-new trucks.
Very good. Any questions from anybody?
No questions, but just to mention that this is coming from the motor vehicle fund.
Correct.
So,
We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Mosrek,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 5.
Accepting the bid from RCL Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $69,400 for the flocculation building improvements located at the water filtration plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Okay, Councilmember, or Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, Councilmember Mosrek.
No, there's Lamb.
Oh, all the way down there. Boy, she's throwing her voice. Councilmember Lamb, I'll be glad when we can all sit together again and not have to try to figure out who everybody is from a distance, and seconded by Councilmember Mosrek. Okay, go ahead.
Madam Mayor and Council, the flocculation building is literally the last point of contact with water before it goes throughout our water distribution center. That's why when we did our, essentially our reliability study and risk assessment, that building needs to be secured. The doors are rotting out. It shouldn't have glass windows in it, although it was put in back in the 60s. Times have changed, and that building needs to be secured. So this, again, we had a $13,000 engineering contract that went through and showed the needs assessment. This is the construction contract with that, which will remove all the replace all the doors with hardened doors. It's going to remove all the windows and block and mortar all the windows, so it's going to be a secure facility that won't have access to the public or those who wish to do our water system harm.
Any questions?
No. All right, so maybe this is just infrastructure improvements.
This is a
overall.
security improvement.
Okay, security.
Yep.
We will take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrek,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We'll go to resolutions. Number 1.
Authorizing 17 payments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there a second?
Support?
Councilmember Pemberton, is there any questions on any of the payments?
Just, Madam Mayor, note there's a change order for the meter pit replacement on Gratiot. That's because when they opened up the road, they found concrete pads underneath the road and pipes that need to be abandoned. That was the reason for that change order.
Okay,
But we did get that project done in a quick time because I know it was affecting some of the businesses up there.
Tried to beat me to the punch, didn't you?
okay, any other questions on any item on the payments? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrek,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Ordinance number 1.
First reading, an ordinance to amend Chapter 52 zoning, Article 3, District Regulations, Division 1, generally, Section 52-162 map of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances to rezone the properties generally described as 2706 10th Avenue and 1128 Garfield Street from an R zoning district to an A1 zoning district.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there a second?
Support.
Madam-
Yes, go
Madam
ahead.
Mayor and Council, this is both the Planning Commission and the Condominium Association plus the ZBA. The reason why we're requesting to move it from an A1 to a multifamily is because in A1, you are not allowed to have condominiums. So what that means is,
Going to an A1. You said you're
we
moving.
go from A1 to a multifamily. The reason why is in A1, you're not allowed to have condominiums. And so, sorry, excuse me. Sorry, there we go.
A1.
Sorry, single family to A1. There, I saw you point at me. There you go. The reason for the change is that we want to condominiumize the development because we want to regulate what gets built there. Meaning in a typical single-family residential zoning, you can build whatever you want as long as it meets the setbacks and whatnot. We want to put these into a condo association that says you have to build a certain craftsman-style home and a certain square footage at a certain price point, and it's got to look a certain way, because we really want this to be a nice, charming development that fits in with the neighborhood and fits in with the community. So by putting in a condo association, when we go to sell these lots, the builders will know exactly what's allowed to be built. So you're not going to get someone pulling in a double wide or someone building a house that doesn't look anything like the neighborhood. It's going to be contiguous with the neighborhood and the character of the neighborhood around it. So that is really the only reason why. We're not building condos. There'll be no rentals allowed here. That'll all be in the condo association rules. It's just so we can regulate what kind of homes that they can build there, so they just can't show up and build wherever they want.
Yep. Any questions?
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem
James, if I'm
Archibald.
understanding you correctly, there'll still be single-family
Correct. There'll be
units,
single-family homes about 18 to 1,900 square feet.
Thank you.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilman.
This was my first planning commission meeting, actually, we discussed this, so, Mr. Freed did a great job of explaining that there was a lot of confusion because of the condominium language, and so we went over that question probably 5 times, and even then still had a little bit of public comment, concerned that we would be, putting this in place, and it was really, David Haynes explained that it's really, there's a lot of rules to get around when it comes to setting up a neighborhood, even from a state level, and so that doing it this way allows us to do exactly what Mr. Freed said. We can build single-family units, but we can do it a lot easier by using the condominium rules.
What we don't want is a bait and switch, where a contractor comes or a builder comes and says, yeah, I'll buy all 19 lots and I'll build exactly what you want, and the next week what they're building doesn't look like anything we want. And so we want to, very simple things like, we want to make sure that the garages are all on a certain size, because it makes infrastructure and trash pickup a lot easier. So there's small things like that we really want to address out and make this a well-planned neighborhood, because we are, putting this into an existing neighborhood, and we want to be conscientious of the neighbors, that they have something that's very similar and enhances their property value. So that's really what's driving this.
When do you expect that they'll start work up this spring?
Yeah, I want basements going in this summer.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, since this has made the newspaper, we've had so many contractors and builders stop us, ask us about it. I had one realtor said, can we buy them all up? And I said, let's not get too greedy. I think we're going to be doing very well in the construction, but our goal is to have infrastructure in and basements going in. So when this condo association is finalized and everything gets put together, we're going to start selling lots probably before construction even begins, so that when the asphalt's down and the utilities are in, we can start putting homes in. There's a huge demand right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilman
I wanted to say what a great idea I think this is. It's more near and dear to me. I grew up on Myrtle Street, born and raised, so that was our sand lot there. So to see something going in there and a nice development for people, maybe first-time buyers and such, I just think it's really great, so thank you.
Era,
Yes.
I just think, it's kind of like long overdue or whatever, and I think that was one of the areas that we always coming up short in our housing stock here, and I think that is a good boost in the way of continuous improvement as far as that.
Just to remind the public, this wasn't something David and I cooked up. This was something that was directed at us at the goal-setting session last year. It was very specifically, you directed us to do a new housing development this year, so this was driven by you.
And there's not too many places we can put them in the city of Port Huron, because there's no vacant
That is
land.
amazing, the amount of infill, people buying vacant lots.
Yeah.
Some properties that we removed with blight illumination dollars, that they're now building $200,000 homes. It's just amazing. Land that, you used to maybe get $500 to a side lot to somebody if they wanted to mow it, we're now getting $5,000 for. So, it's pretty remarkable just, how much the property values are increasing, how much the demand is there. Property values across the city are up more than 20% in the last 36 months. If you invested in a home in Port Huron a few years ago, you made a sound investment.
Yep. We will take the vote.
Yeah.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, that concludes our regular agenda. A couple of announcements. The city offices will be closed this next Monday, January 18th, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I do know there's a couple of services, even though they're not in person, they're virtual. But Operation Transformation, I know, is having a service, I believe, on Sunday, the 17th. And there's also one that every year the college puts on, and it's, instead of being in person, it's going to be virtual at 2 p.m. on the actual Martin Luther King Day. So both of those you should be able to get online and see, so I encourage people to do that. It's an important day. And also just as a, we have an opening on city council, as we went through earlier, but we also have an opening on our planning commission, so encourage anybody in the city, you do have to be a city resident in order to serve on the planning commission. But if you're interested, you can get an application online and submit it to the city clerk's office. You want to say something, Jim?
Yes, about the McMorran projecting. So on January 18th, from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech will be projected on the front of McMorran Plaza, and you can drive by and roll down your windows and listen to it, or you can drive by and tune in your radio to our local Parks and Recreation station and listen to the speech. So because we can't have a public gathering indoors really, so we're going to take the speech and literally video project it onto the facade of McMorran. So hopefully it has a powerful impact when you drive by and see it. It's something we've been working on for the last couple of weeks. We kind of tweaked it here and there this morning, so I think we should be good. Right on the front.
Yeah.
We're not sure how it's going to look, but we're going to do it.
So how do you tune into it from your car?
Nancy's going to put out the frequency. We'll put that out in a press release later this week of what the station is. I think it's the same one we did bingo on.
Yeah, yeah. Where I froze my fingers.
Yes.
And so did the chief. But that was very successful, I must say. People love the bingo. Is there anything else that anyone on council would like to bring forward?
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to congratulate my fellow council member, Jeff Pemberton and his wife Jolene on a new baby girl, Victoria, and they're gonna call her Tori. That's my daughter's name, so. Jolene is a good friend of Tori, so congratulations
Thank you.
to you.
Congratulations.
It's nothing like bringing a new baby into the world. It gives
Yep.
hope.
It's true.
Yep, very good. Thank you for bringing that up. I was going to, and I neglected to do so.
Oh, you probably forgot.
So, anyone else have anything? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.